So the beauty of timeline is that up here you can get a learning. So if you ever had anything really bother you, and then all of a sudden one day you get a learning, it's like, wow. Then you realize that doesn't bother you anymore, because now you understand why. You got a learning out of it. So that happens naturally for a lot of events. But the timeline thing helps you create this moment where you can get the learning. And once you get it, then the negative emotions release, and the negative decision, like you can make limiting decisions, like the goofy one I had. I can't even remember now what it was. It's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, the learnings cause it to disappear. And then the other thing is, if you rewind the tape in their imagination back before the event, is one unconscious thing that happens is there's a point where they made a decision where there's a point of responsibility. So this can happen like traumatic event if you ever work with women on abuse or anything. If you wind back the event far enough, there's a point where they made a decision, either go down that street or go with that person, or be in a certain place. And unconsciously, once you get back far enough where part of it was your decision, it helps release all the negative emotions, instead of like when something's all on another person, the blame is all out there. Once you start getting a piece of responsibility on yourself, then it helps the negative emotions release. So there's a couple things that happen when you get in this above position.
Well, finish it up. Why do we go back through the events and then go back out into the past and future again?
One is to convince the client that they're done. You don't want to tell the client, oh, you're feeling better now, aren't you? You want the client to say it themselves. Oh, yeah, they are gone, or what was the problem again? It helps the client know that they're complete. Because if you go through this process, like Hughes did with me, and I wasn't getting the learnings right away, and so you go back and see if there's another event. So if he just said, okay, you're feeling better, come on back to now, you never would say, oh, wait a minute, how do you feel? Is it gone yet? And if it isn't, there can be another event, and it's all in your unconscious mind. So you just ask your unconscious mind to take you there, and so then you ask the client, how does it feel now? So
and just notice that because I already had a pretty detailed history for you, I was able to kind of poke around in there to kind of help trigger up bring up some of those memories and loosen them up a little bit. But see, that's why it's really helpful to have that detailed personal history. Everything the client tells you, everything they do, from the moment they walk into the door, is useful information.
Okay, so yeah, let me do it with the future. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So you look at, I'm just doing what I said I was. Here's instant healing before your eyes. Okay. So we got the timeline. We got now.
Do you notice how that without the fear, she's now allowed, she has permission to express herself and be herself?
I want my money back.
So I paid for you, so you can't have it back. Anyway,
My stairs are not strong enough to stop the ball. Double one. Sure.
just so you know that, why it's number 4. It's taught with, go back, float above your timeline until you can notice the event, and that's position 4 when you notice. Position 2 is you're directly above the event. Position 4 is like you're in it, you're associated in it. Position 3 is before it happened. So Jerry doesn't use this one for say.
Well, actually, I do. I don't. If you notice, I said go back to the event, let me notice when you're there,
Okay, notice.
and then I said, go up above the event looking down. So it's kind of like flowing for me now. I don't have like, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. They kind of flow together, which is, I think, if you've been doing this for 5 years and you're still, doing it like a robot, I would worry about you.
Well,
But in the beginning, it's really good to follow the script.
Yeah, some of the things that we learned, we just kind of did, and so I just want to break it down. So the first thing is float above. Another thing is you do want to use the float. There's been some reports of someone saying walking your timeline, and that has turned out not to work very well, because so I don't want to tell you what not to do, but stick with the floating. The bad experience was someone walked through their timeline and they drug their negative emotions here all the way through their whole life, and they had a really bad experience. So the key word is float.
Float.
You don't walk your timeline, you float above it. Okay, and it's just like, okay, so float above. My spelling's okay here. And you go back on your timeline and notice when you get to the event, position 1. Now float up above number 2, and looking down on the event, what are the learnings? What can you learn from this? The learning of which will allow the emotions to disappear. So that's the question he's going to put in the script. You ask that question. What is the learnings you can get? So then if you find the client getting all emotional, you say, okay, now go up above the event and come up above it. And then after they get the learnings, they can go back down to the event and the emotions will be disappeared. If they're not disappeared, you go back up here again and you ask, is there more learnings? Because the unconscious mind will let it go after. It keeps bringing it up because it wants you to learn something. So once you get to learning, there's no more reason to bring it up. So, if the emotions are still there, okay, let's go back up to number 2 and check again. Is there more learning? Okay. Then you go back in, how's it now? Is it okay? Is it gone? Okay, it's gone. Now go before the event, before they
So
change
did you say you go from 4 to 2 and back and forth from 2 to 4? Oh, see, I always go to number 3 first. I never go back from 4 to 2. Just my personal preference.
Well, if you get the learnings, you can get learnings in 2 and you can get learnings in 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered, why do they even need 3? And I found out it has to do with the responsibility, the chain of events before anything ever happened. I find it was especially helpful when there's some blame involved for an event. When you're blaming on other people, you wind it back before the choice, where you had something to do with it. And that's another thing that helps the negative emotions release. And sometimes it's totally unconscious, and then, okay, so if you do this a couple times, and they still say, okay, well, the emotions are not gone, it still feels negative, it still feels bad. Okay, then you say, well, actually, unconscious mind, is there a time before this event? Maybe we're not at the first one. So if they don't release, you tried learnings once or twice, then you go back to another event, and you do the same thing. You go up above it, and in it, and of course you can start out, well, notice when it is. Go up above and tell me what you can learn. Go down in there and check and see if it's all gone. And go back before it, see if there's any other learnings.
Close your eyes. How do you feel right now?
Great.
Good?
Yes?
Close your eyes. Do you feel connected to your audience?
Yes.
Or should I say my audience? It's good. The more you can make somebody laugh, the better off you are. But you're good, right? You feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay, how about questions? You got a question for me?
It makes sense. Never really thought of it that way. But yeah.
Yeah, and then you were telling me the forward and backward. Okay, so after everything's good, the emotions release, they go down for it, it's fine. Then you ask them to come back along the timeline and see if they notice any similar events. And your unconscious mind kind of touches up, well, that was the same thing happened because you talked about the gestalt, the chain of emotions. You talked about that?
What's that?
The gestalt where all the pearls,
Yeah.
where all the events get
Yeah, we talked
together.
about that. Yeah.
Okay. So whatever event that this one's related to, the string of pearls of the different events. So you come along about your timeline and you just check similar events, and then you kind of are aware of, okay, that feels different now. You know, it's not negative. And then you come back to now. Okay, and then you go, so to check with the client, you go back, okay, now I want you to go back one more time just to check for me to make sure they're gone to a similar event. You know, float down into an event, check around, see if emotions are gone. I go, wow, that's cool, they're gone. Okay, come back to now. And then you do one in the future. Now I want you to imagine a time in the past where something similar could have happened. How do you feel about it now? And then you go to the future and they go, wow, that's different. And then you come back to now and then you're done.
And depending on how stubborn you think your client is, you might do that 3 or 4 times. But I felt really good. I felt like we, you know, in combination with the anchoring I did, and if you could you notice that I would take a breath and she would take a breath, and so I felt it was good rapport. It was good anchoring. You know, it just felt really good for me. So I didn't feel the need to beat it up.
Cool, thank you for
Good work.
talk now.
So, why do we want our money back?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
She said in her little thing, she said she's scared that someone's not gonna like me or whatever. Her fear of.
So she was testing.
Oh, got it. Oh, okay. Sorry.
She says she's scared of talking in front of people because someone's not gonna like her or someone's gonna say something, and she's.
Very good. Got it. Okay.
She was trying to trigger me.
Got it. Yeah.
So you're on it.
Very good.
And you were very mean and sarcastic back.
Well, you can't. I paid for
Very
it.
offensive. Very good customer service there.
All right, so I'll have to work on that.
All right. Let's see. So, does anybody else have anything they?
You're right.
Anybody have anything they want to get rid of quick while I'm on a roll? Anybody want to try it? Anything? Any particular fear, phobia, anxiety?
Knock that tower down by throwing blocks at it.
No, don't go black.
No.
Try it, it's fun. Pick something little. There's some negative emotion somewhere you want to get rid of? Or is there some little thing that still bugs you wish it didn't? Try it.
Fear of spiders or snakes?
I don't like them, but I can kill them. It doesn't really.
What about like my mom? It's she's been divorced for a long time, but she always blames. She always blame, on us. Especially me. So her anger always carried through, and now
Wait a
I
minute.
get so frustrated.
She got divorced
Right.
and blamed you.
Because I look like my dad. And because of that, because she wanted to blame on someone at that time, because she's then a single mom, and she got more like the blame is frustration why my dad was, cheating on her.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time anything triggers, she
So-
yells a lot.
Okay, so for one, she's not accepting any responsibility for that, right?
No.
that there was anything wrong with her, that, you know, some, you know, just magically out of the blue, rather than be happily married, he just decided to go cheat on her.
Well, for whatever reason, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
and it's all his fault.
Right.
Got it.
But it's all his fault, so she hates man, of course, but because her frustration carries for so long, I tend to became her, and whenever my kids, you know, just push my button a little bit, I get so, ooh, you know, I think it's just my ADD part. I get frustrated so fast, and I don't
Okay.
want that.
Okay,
It's
so this is a good one to do with parents. Okay, so you got like this trigger, right? All right, come on, let's do it. Let's work it. Okay, so let me get a real clear picture of what it is we're talking about. Because we started talking about your mom, and then we shifted over to talking about your anger. And I'm not sure I got the connection between the two.
I think, well, like when she always get frustrated with every little thing I do. I didn't do well in school because, you know, being ADD, learning challenges too.
Got it.
So if I didn't do well, she'll spank me, and if I, you know, do something just a little bit wrong, she'll yell at me. Just every little trigger,
And is she still alive?
She's still alive. Yeah.
So does she still push your buttons?
Well, I don't live with her.
Right.
You know, so, but she doesn't push my button. I have really patience with her. I've learned throughout. I just let that go.
Okay.
But when it came to my kid, I became my mom.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's
That's
just
great.
like I don't want to do that.
Okay, here's a secret. Everybody becomes their mom. Okay? So here are the two ways to parent. Here are the two ways to parent. One, if you see the child as having won, if you feel like as the child you won, you were successful in growing up and you were successful in your childhood, then you will parent exactly the way your parents did you. Exactly the way you were parented. If you feel like the child lost, like you were beaten, then you will parent the opposite of how your parents. But that's it. That's what we're given. We're either, yes, we parent like our parents, or no, we parent the opposite. It's one extreme or the other. Now, what's missing in that equation is this, what I call 360 degrees of possibility. There's, between any yes and no, there's a universe of possibility. So how can we take advantage of the universe, the world of possibility, and not either be like our parents or exactly the opposite? Okay? Well, again, it's the whole timeline thing. So what is the emotion that you feel, that trigger, that tipping point? Describe that to me.
Like from my kids?
No, when you're ready to snap.
Oh, how that feels?
Yeah.
Just boiling up, I guess. It's just
So you feel the boiling before you snap. And you know you're boiling before you snap. Got it. Is there a point at which you can stop it before you snap?
Lately, I've been trying to breathe and scratch my head a lot so that I will stop it, you know, just so that.
Scratch your head, you mean like
It's
some
just
technique?
just
just
scratching. So
oh, okay. I'm not aware of that technique.
It's my technique.
Okay.
To get my frustration out from me so I don't yell at my kids so much. You know, when they did something wrong, I'll just scratch my head or just.
So what are you deciding, making up or perceiving that gives you that feeling of frustration? What is the perception there, or the belief that feels frustrating? So imagine Jalen's doing something wrong, probably. He's disobeying, he's not listening to you. He's, you know, like, oh, I can't remember her name, you know. He's defiling you. I'll remember that one forever, you know. She is defiling me. You mean defy? Actually, I didn't even think I had the heart to say it. I didn't even mention it. It was just too perfect. So you're feeling defied, defiled. What else? What does that mean?
I don't know. It just means that
What does it mean about you as a mom?
I did so much and he's not listening, or he's not overall not listening, not respecting what I'm trying.
He's not respecting you.
Well, it feels like that, but he probably doesn't know, you know. But it's just but instead of shouting or yelling, I would.
So check in that. So close your eyes, and just for, you know, just to gauge, just to get a kind of like a little bit of a gauge here. If you imagine him defying you, you tell him to do something and he just says no, stuff it. But where does that come up? Let that feeling of
Yeah, right about then, when he just starts getting frustrated, I will start boiling at the same time.
Got it. So you're feeling frustrated, and now just for a second, I want you to stay here, but put your consciousness over in Jalen and look at you from his point of view. What is he seeing?
Uh-oh, my mom's getting mad.
Right. But what is it in his world? Why, you're the person that looks out for him, protects him, feeds him, clothes him. Why is he defying you? And does it have anything to do with you? What is it that he's looking for or looking to accomplish?
I'm not sure, because sometimes he doesn't talk and he just would, just get frustrated. And I tried to ask him what's wrong, sometimes I don't know, it's hard to know how he's feeling. He's so emotional.
So when he's defying you, is he acting rational?
No.
So how is he feeling?
Just frustrated, not listening.
He's feeling frustrated.
Right.
He's feeling frustrated. So what? Go get in his skin. Look through his eyes. What is he feeling frustrated with?
Probably what I asked him to do and he cannot accomplish it, or just he wants something and can I give it? I want him to do something first. Things like that.
So something interrupting his world.
Right.
Got it. And then you feel like what? When he asserts himself, which is what I hope you want him to do before he grows up. But why does it feel so bad now? This is what you want him to do, right? This is like the girl who gets pregnant when she's 16 and her parents freak out and they have this conniption fit. And the funny thing is, they want grandkids, right? They themselves have had sex. They themselves have gotten pregnant, but they're freaking out and making a huge deal out of it because their daughter got pregnant when she was 16. But isn't what they're freaking out about only the timing? Because they wanted to have grandkids ultimately anyway. They wanted her to get pregnant, right? So what they're freaking out about is actually just timing. So you want him to assert himself and be independent, but you don't want it. It doesn't work for you when you have your own agenda. So we're looking at not you and Jalen, you're looking at his agenda and your agenda that are clashing. So what if we take your agenda and we put it over here? So it's not you, it's not personal. You have this calendar, you have this agenda of things that you would like to do to make your life run smooth and make Jalen's life run smooth. And sometimes that doesn't work for him. So when you take your calendar and separate it from you, so we take your behavior and put it over here, we take his behavior and put it over here. Now look at your intentions. Are they different or are they pretty much the same?
Different.
Your intention and Jalen's intention.
Oh.
Are they different or are they actually pretty much the same?
The same.
They're pretty much the same. You guys are really after the same thing, but there's something missing in the communication. Yeah. So, if nothing else, before we go anyplace else, what can we do so that you guys can both put your behaviors aside, or at least you can see the bigger picture and put the behaviors aside, and stand next to him and appreciate his perspective. We're not looking at the behavior. We're not saying we condone the behavior or the behavior's okay. We're putting the behavior over here. Okay? But now let's take Jalen himself and be with him and see his point of view, his perspective, his intention being the same as yours. Can you guys find a way to stand together and work this out?
Yes.
So now let's go back and let's review this one again. Let's go all the way back to the first time. Oh, by the way, where's your past? If you look at your timeline, if you feel your past, if you get a sense of the past, is it in front of you, behind you, the left, the right? Just with either hand, point to where your past is.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
and with either hand, point to your future. There you go. Okay, so what we're going to do very quickly, just like we did with Kathy's, float up, and we're going to go back and go back to the very first event in the chain of events that led to this feeling of frustration and intense. What would you say? Anger? Is that a good? What would you say? How would you describe it? This tipping point. Frustration.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and given, your mom's lack of understanding and lack of appreciation for other people's perspectives and points of view, we can tell by her continuing blame, right? And we're not going to live there. So let's go back, and let's go back, if you can, to that first event. And if you were to know, was that event before, during, or after your birth?
After.
And if you were to know, if your unconscious mind was to know, about how old were you in this first event in the chain of events?
27.
7. All right, good. So right now, let's float up. Let's go all the way back, well above the timeline, floating all the way back to the event. When you get to the event, just notice the event. Just notice the event. Let me know when you're there. And now go up above the event, so you're directly above the event, looking down on the event. And looking down on the event, ask yourself, what is there for me to learn from this event, the learning of which will allow me to release my anger fully and completely? My unconscious mind, your unconscious mind will preserve the learning so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. So just, again, look down, keep looking down, look down on the event. And let me know when you have a sense of the learnings. Good. Now we're going to float back to that position 3. So we're before the event, looking down on the event, facing the future, looking down on the event. And now ask yourself, is the anger there or has it disappeared completely?
Sort of, kind.
Is there still something there?
Yes and no. Yeah, more like yes and no, and slowly releasing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, let's go down inside the event. So you're looking through your own eyes. Look around. Really stand in the event with your new understandings and new awarenesses, and just see, is the anger still there? When you're there in it with your mom or whatever that situation is, are you still feeling that anger or frustration?
Really want to go with my mom. I'll be long like when I was a child. It's more like I feel not frustrated with my mom, but I have anxiety with my mom.
Anxiety with your mom.
Yeah,
Awesome.
every time he yells, I start to.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, how does that tie in with this thing?
Just.
So what was the event that you were in? What was the event? I kind of assumed it was with your mom, and I'm
No,
was that a
it was
mistake?
an event with my son, trying to let go everything he did, little thing that triggered me, and trying to let it go. But my mom, every time she yells at me, I start to get freaked out, and so is Jalen now,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want that to happen. So I guess I have to release all my mom issues, in order to get back to reality.
Right. So close your eyes and let's go way back to the very first event in the chain of events. 7 years old. Younger. Keep going back. Go all the way back to the first event in the chain of events. So now you're above the event, directly above the event. And again, ask yourself, what is there for me to learn from this event? The learning of which will allow me to release that anger fully and completely. Your unconscious mind will preserve the learning so that if you need it in the future, they'll be there. You got it? Now let's go all the way back before the event. We're going to go back before the event. We're going to turn around and facing the future, look down on the event and ask yourself, are the old emotions there or have they disappeared completely? Gone? Good. Now let's go down inside the event, looking through your own eyes. And again, are the emotions there or have they disappeared completely?
They're gone. They're gone.
Okay. So let's come back to position 3 before the event. Feel that sense of release. And as quickly as you can, come all the way back to now, stopping at each event along the timeline. Release or preserve the learnings. Release the emotion. On all the events, all the way back to now, as quickly as you can. Go ahead. Good? Okay, before you open your eyes, I want you to look inside and let me know, is there anything you don't know that you're not telling me? Okay, that's okay. So let's go out into the future, to some unspecified time point in the future, and I want you to imagine one of those events where in the past you would have felt those intense feelings and really go down into it, see the event through your own eyes, and notice, are the feelings there or have they disappeared completely? Good. Go out again. Make it even worse. I mean, imagine he's really pulling something. Really pulling something. And see if the old feelings are there, or with your new perspective, they're gone.
They're gone.
How does it feel with him now?
Just working out with him, the patience, you know, all that stuff.
So let's go. You know, we've got a lot to do. We've got a busy year ahead. We've got new skills that we're going to be implementing, and school and everything. I want you to go all the way out to, say, Christmas. You know, with that first big break in school. And I want you to imagine that you've been practicing all these new skills with Jalen, and you're working, being present with him, being present to him, separating his intentions from his behaviors, being able to deal with the behaviors, but still honor and connect with him in a very real way. And imagine going all the way out and turn around and look back at the last 3 or 4 months and feel what that feels like with this new way of being and these new skills, and feel how that feels now as a mom.
That's good.
And how about if we go all the way out to next year, looking back at a whole year, and you're going to send Jerry a letter to let him know how wonderful things are, and to thank him for all the good things he did and taught you and everything. Well, we know that. So putting that aside, so maybe not. Maybe putting some things in the letter. What do you see looking back over the year that was the most significant change in you and your relationship with Jalen as he's growing old and growing older and using some of these new skills, and you guys are finding new ways to communicate and connect with each other?
Yes. More, yeah, both of us are communicating at the same level, and we're just working out problems together and just homework together, and just seeing him growing, and I guess the new skills is he adapting right now. It's gonna help him boost his confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Good. And how does that feel? How does it feel when you really see a whole year of success like that? Good. So take that and bring it all the way back to now. Coming back, looking over each of the days, noticing the little things you guys did together, noticing the little successes all along the way. The whole year of working these skills. And bring that all the way back to now. And when you're ready, float down, come back down and open your eyes.
Good.
And what we're really interested in is when I get a profile that looks, very ADD, or I get a child that has an ADD diagnosis or an ADHD diagnosis, what do I probably need to deal with? Again, if you choose to, get set up with us so that you're using that same template, that learning style profile, and they're filling that out, we have, basically a database of hundreds of kids that I have all pretty much parents one way or another have filled out that profile. So there's a really good way to compare it as far as what they need. Plus, it's pretty clear that, if they check off struggles with reading, slow reader, and reading comprehension, you probably got to work on reading. Do they have dyslexia? No, but you may want to use the dyslexia program if you're seeing all those skills sets missing. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at ADD. Blah, 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 the expulsion track. And teens, a little bit different. In almost any case, the older the child is, the tougher your work's going to be. The tougher it's going to be. Because there's going to be more skills to break, probably more negative emotions, more track record of failure, and negative just negative messages that you're going to have to get through. So let's look at the basic. For me, about 20 skills. I used to work with this I've been working with this 16 skills for years, but I added a couple based on some of the work we've done. The first 3: stress reduction, focus and attention, organization. May or may not need reading, writing, handwriting, spelling. It's pretty common, but don't assume, because I've had ADHD kids that are great readers. Some of them are even great spellers. It's not the norm by my experience, but it does happen. There's even with reading and handwriting and spelling, there's often a problem with memorization. And when most people say reading comprehension, what they really mean is retention. They say comprehension, but they mean retention, because they don't understand. See, this is that left brain, right brain thing. They cannot conceive that the child can read that paragraph, understand it, and then forget it 2 seconds later, or 15 seconds later, and not be able to answer a single question. That's inconceivable to a left brainer. They don't understand it. So they tend to call that reading comprehension. Okay.